The novel coronavirus pandemic has forced companies worldwide to change their daily operations from office to work from home arrangements. And although for many it was a new situation, a majority of U.S. employees prefer the routine to remain in place. In a new survey from Get Abstract, 43% of respondents said that going forward they want to work remotely more often. What's that mean when employers throw open their doors again and ask staffers to return? We're joined now by Jonathan Bell, labor and employment attorney, as well as the founder of the Bell Law Group in New York. Jonathan, what should we know?
It seems as though some polling that was taking place that at least 43% of the people who are working from home want to continue working from home. And only 25% of them don't feel safe. So it's not a matter of safety. It's just a matter of comfort. And they realize that they could cut out their commute, spend more time with family, friends, and loved ones. Apparently, working from home is known to reduce stress. And as you know, Gordon, this is a time where anxiety is pretty high. So having something that's able to reduce your stress is something that the employee workforce is really trying to take advantage of. The studies show that there's virtually no indication of lesser productivity, and for the employers, they benefit. At least they think they could benefit in the future because they could save money on rent and maybe lease less spaces.
Yeah.
Now, there's always some downsides with everything. So the downsides that employers are weighing is the potential effect that the employees might feel isolated, or there might be some incidences of imperfect technology or detachment from coworkers. And then there's employers questioning whether the employees are actually working. So there are a couple of negatives, but the upside looks positive as long as the position lends itself to working from home.
All right, so how about the potential tug of war where the manager or owner of the business says, I want everybody in-house under this roof that we pay rent on or that we own. Can you as a worker say, you know what, medically I don't feel comfortable, and here's a doctor's note? Like, what happens then?
That's the exact only time that an employer could be liable if they say no. Generally, if the employer says, I want somebody working in my office building or a brick-and-mortar building, it's their discretion, and the employee has to do it. And if the employee refuses, they could be terminated, no lawsuit, no rights, except for the fact, as you mentioned, if somebody has a disability and goes to a physician, and because of the disability, telework, which is working from home, is a reasonable accommodation, and there has to be an interactive process. Just because an employee requests an accommodation, you can't just say, well, this is the only accommodation, take it or leave it. The employer has the right to say, well, let me see what your limitations are, and let me consider maybe I can have you in. Maybe I could have you, sit in another location within the office. But ultimately, teleworking is a fair an accommodation, and medically could be the only accommodation for an individual depending upon their disability, and the employer will have liability if they unjustly turn that down.
Well, we're speaking with Jonathan Bell, labor and employment attorney, also the founder of Bell Law Group in New York. Some of these scenarios for returning to work, John, could be a staggered schedule. Maybe you come in Monday, Tuesday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday one week, and Tuesday, Thursday the following week, something like that, so employees aren't on top of each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like a law firm that I have, employers really should look for ways to keep not only their employees, but their customers and clients safe. And I probably will enact in my own law firm a staggered schedule where, because what we do for a living as a lawyer, a lot of things can be done from home, although it is important to have some presence within the office. So we'll be implementing a staggered schedule, social distancing, the requirement that all employees and employers wear masks. These are things that are within the employer's discretion and actually very practical and a smart thing to implement.
So, I mean, in a simple summary, I guess, is it basically my business, my rules?
As long as you're not violating people's rights as far as discrimination based on a protected class, as long as you're not violating people's rights with respect to wage and hour issues, it's a free country. Just like the employee could easily quit with no notice, they could walk out and there's no legal ramifications, an employee can also be fired.
Jonathan Bell, labor and employment attorney and founder of Bell Law Group in New York.